is the seabird capital of the world, home to 1/3 of the entire seabird population. These birds travel vast distances and return here every year. Karioi is the seabird mountain. It's just outside the surf town of Raglan and is a vital breeding ground to several species of seabirds who return here to nest and raise their chicks. It's also a sacred place in the Maori culture, and the mountain is a vital nesting ground for the oi, the grey-faced petrel.
Seabirds are world travellers and they breed here, but they feed far, far out at sea, off the coast of California, South America, Japan, the Antarctic. It connects New Zealand to the rest of the world. Everything that happens everywhere else will have an impact on those birds and whether they come home again.
That mountain would have been chock-a-block full of seabirds. And in every one of those different altitudinal and vegetation sequences, you would have had a different type of seabird. So we would have gone from little blue penguins down at the beach right the way through to maybe Cook's petrel and Black's petrel and some of the most endangered and threatened birds that we now have that are seabirds in this country. The vision for the Karioi Project is basically to restore that maunga back to a seabird mountain.
The impact of introduced predators on New Zealand bird life has been huge. Most of our birds are ground feeding or nesting, so they're very accessible to invasive predators like rats, stoats, possums, feral cats, even dogs can be a threat. A stoat can go into a seabird colony and annihilate the whole colony in one night. Just go on a killing spree. And they've been introduced, I mean, they don't belong here. I mean, they're beautiful animals, but they're in the wrong place. This is amazing, just these trees and that here. You know, there's just remnant bits of what would have been all covered right down to the coastline. It's just so incredible to think that 80% of New Zealand was forested in native vegetation, and now we have about 20% left. This is just a tiny slice of this coastline that still has these birds, and we have the privilege of having them in our backyard, on our doorsteps. When you look up there, like, you can see how a lot of the top of the mountain sits in the clouds, and it's pretty rugged terrain up top there, pretty steep valleys, and our traps are sitting on the ridge lines. So the guys that cut the tracks followed the ridge lines up, but near the top it's just about vertical.
Last year we got the footage of a stoat dragging a grey-faced petrel chick out of the burrow. And you see the stoat's like this big, thin thing, and the chick is like this. Like 800 grams.
Wow.
And it's like, yeah, just dragging it away to go and have a little kai and then bury it somewhere. We've got a track through there. We've got another one in that corner, another one that comes off the end. And it's just about being able to manage a network of people to check them all the time. So we pretty much just run through the forest with our bait and check the traps. Oh! We got a possum! I think this one's your turn, bro. You show Billy how this trap works. That's a fresh one, maybe last night.
One of the most amazing things about this community-led project is that the trapping that goes on the mountain is done by everyday people in the Raglan community. So there's 80-year-olds one day who will be setting traps that remove invasive animals, and the next day there'll be 8-year-olds doing the same thing.
We've got after-school programs that we run with kids from all different schools around the Raglan area, and then we're also running education right the way through to senior school level in Raglan, and you know, to have that depth of knowledge in a community from tiny tots right the way through, the education system is just phenomenal.
Stand back this time. Now to test it. Okay, we're going to test it here. Okay. Now this is how they get caught. Oh my gosh!
The whole project was set up around a community-based conservation project, and around all that we wrap education.
It's a crab. I found the crab under a big ass rock. He must have been a female.
Not only are we doing the practical work and proactive and action-based, but also we're bringing people along by, getting kids introduced to their own backyard, learning about all the different environments. So we have a theme around land, water and sea. And so they explore the local streams, they explore the estuary and the harbour, they learn how to float in the harbour, they learn about currents, but they also learn to trap.
The seabirds are ironically hard to see. It took us years for people to realise that they're breeding here, and they're just on our surf spots, they're on our beach, Manu Bay indicators, but people connecting to the fact that the seabirds are here, and also that links us to the world around us. So I'll say that quote again that we use a lot, that if you tug on a single thing in nature, it connects you to the rest of the world. So we're a hot spot for seabirds, and that's kind of something that makes New Zealand quite special, and people understanding that's a big part of our project. And when they actually see the results of that, not just in less predators, but in more life and biodiversity, it's a pretty awesome thing. So last week we came to check the burrows and to ban the chicks finally, after months of checking traps, of coming down here to check the burrows and check the cameras and kind of monitor the birds and their progress. And unfortunately in this burrow here we found that the chick had been decimated by a predator, so there's just a bit of fluff left on the ground. It had been ripped apart. Pretty devastating for us to see with all the time we put into this project, but also just shows how vulnerable the chicks are. They're left alone for sometimes weeks at a time in their burrow. They've got not much defense against predators, which is why the work that we do with the volunteers, with the cameras, with the trapping is so important, and why we kind of have to keep doing it up even when we get a moment like this. Pretty amazing that we've got this chick here. We're only a metre away from the burrow where we lost the chick to a predator. But here we've got a happy, healthy chick. Yeah, so it shows how vulnerable they are, but also, that we can protect them. Yeah, it's a lucky little chick, this guy.
This whole ecosystem is there. This whole part of our Māori whakapapa is there. And so now, knowing that the oia has been looked after and that there's a focus with regards to the seabirds themselves, it's all heading in the right direction. There's a sense of pride that we've been able to get in and actually take back our mountain, our maunga, our community spaces, and make Karioi the special place we all know it is.
You can't really live on this coastline and not being involved in something. It is people that are connected to nature, and surfers love the water and are connected to what's happening there, and we just have to look up and see that mountain, so I think there's a strong connection there. I've got to admit, it's pretty hard when you commit to going and showing someone a trap line or setting traps and you drive past Manu Bay and it's cranking. It's pretty hard. There's huge sacrifice. I think the highlight is when we go for team surfs, and we all get out there and I get to drop in on everyone.
People have been slacking lately, you just fade them.
Yeah.
Yep.
It's better than I thought it would be, for sure. We're going to have some fun because there's a nice little right-hand peak is left as well, and there's no one around. There's sort of like
enticing.
chest tie sets every 5 minutes, so it's not so bad.
Seabirds have been calling Raglan home for thousands of years, but right now they're actually struggling to find safe burrow spaces away from introduced species and predators and away from increased human influence. And so there is an amazing grassroots group working to look out for the future of these birds, which is also so deeply linked to the future of this place and the people that call it home. There's over 100 volunteers in the Karioi Project, and they all seem to feel like there is some ownership with this project and that they're making a difference, and they are. Every invasive species they remove gives these really vulnerable seabirds an extra chance at making it.